אף בני ישיבות ותלמידי חכמים ישתדלו לומר בכל יום פרשת הקורבנות ואיזהו מקומן. This halacha brings a very important topic that we're going to talk about. First of all, the translation is, even if you're a Torah scholar and you learn Torah all day, or you're in the yeshiva, you're an unmarried boy learning in the yeshiva, you should try your hardest to say the korbanot and ezeu mekoman every day in the prayer, before the prayers. Now, especially nowadays, that even though you're learning Torah, you should put aside some time to say this important passage of the Torah that atones for our sins. Even though Torah learning itself is an atonement for sins, this specific passage has a different power. Now, there are many people who say, yeah, I don't need to do korbanot, it's a waste of time. It's a wrong attitude. However, it's not obligated to say it, but if you say it, it's very good. And that includes all the other ones you mentioned, Akedat Yitzchak, and all the things we say unto Baruch She'amar. It's important to say it every day. It has a lot of spiritual benefits for us. On a related note, as Rav Yakov Peretz, may he have a speedy recovery, he taught us many times that the ideal Torah scholar should not just know Gemara. He should be proficient in Tanakh, Chumash, ethics, Musar, Mishnayot, and not like those people, they learn Gemara all day, and you ask them a simple halacha, they can't answer you. They didn't learn it. The whole idea of learning Gemara is to get down to the day-to-day halacha. How do I act on the day-to-day? That's one of the main reasons that we learn Gemara. Also, Rav Peretz used to say, there are people who barely study Chumash. The only time their exposure is to the Chumash is when the Torah is brought out on Shabbat and Monday and Thursday. And he said, how could it be this Sefer Torah, it's in front of your face and you don't even study it, you're not even proficient in the Chumash? And as we know, Shtayim Mikra V'Achad Targum, reading the Hebrew of the Chumash and then reading it again in Aramaic is a spiritual segula for a long life, and also you're getting a lot of learning throughout every parasha. You're repeating it a few times and you become better at knowing it. In addition, it's good to read at least Rashi with the Chumash. Rashi, Rav Shlomo Yitzchaki, was a great Rav who lived hundreds of years ago. He went around the world for 7 years and he showed his commentary on the Torah to all the sages of that time, and everybody approved of it. It's not a joke what he wrote. It's a very, very strong commentary. It's not his own opinion, obviously. It's sourced, and it just expands and explains what's going on in the Torah. He also brings in grammar rules sometimes when he's explaining some of the Pesukim in the Torah. Now, this whole attitude of I'm going to neglect some things and do other things is being a non-playable character. You're not being your full character in your role in this world. And I want to speak about Parashat Balak, which was not too long ago, and the whole story about that and how important it is to step up in life. So, in Parashat Balak, the Jews were about to enter Eretz Israel. They were camped in Shittim, a station on the eastern bank of the Jordan in the plain of Moab. So the Torah uses the word, it says, and Yisrael dwelt in Shittim. Whenever the word dwelt is mentioned in the Torah, it means they were living comfortably. And it usually prefigures an occurrence of a tragedy, such as in Bereshit it says, Yaakov dwelt in the land, and right after that happened, the whole thing with Yosef, all the problems with Yosef began. So the Gemara, Sanhedrin asks, why is a Jew's dwelling comfortably normally a prelude to trouble? Because man was created to live in the present world in order to prepare himself for the world to come. And sometimes he forgets that there's a world to come. He's in his life, he has his nice car, he has his nice house, which are not bad things. But you need to know that's not the purpose. Those are only means to help you serve Hashem better. You can enjoy them, but that's not why you're here in the world. No one's going to care when you die if you became the richest man in the world or not, or how much money you made. He cares what you did with the money you made, how you helped people, how you spent it, how you didn't waste it. You had fun? Okay. You had a measurable, fair amount of fun. Even the idea of fun is only so that'll give you a rejuvenation to go back to do what you're put in this world to do. And that's Torah learning and kind deeds and taking care of your family and the poor, etc. So now, how did this sin begin with, we know the whole episode of what happened with the intermarriage situation with Balak's daughter Kozbi and Zimri, who was the head of the tribe of Shimon. So what happens like this? There were some people that were of a lower level who, there were some Israelites that were on a lower level of character, and they wanted a break. They wanted to go chill out. So that's the thing today. Let's go chill, which means to do nothing. So we're going to go out of the camp, of the Jewish camp. We're going to go hang out in the bazaar, in the marketplace. So we know that a big sin usually starts with a small indiscretion, and then it increases and increases. So instead of using their spare time to learn Torah or to do other mitzvot, they wanted to go relax and chill. They didn't have any plans. Let's just see what happens. So they go to this marketplace, and you know that the Midianites, Balak and Bilam included, wanted to make the Jews sin. They were trying to curse them. It didn't work. Let's make them sin. So they put an old lady in front of all these items for sale. Old ladies outside of the tent. Look, I have this, I have that. You want to buy it for me? And they would say, no, it's ridiculously expensive. I'm not going to buy this. He said, oh, you want a lower price? Go inside the tent. There's a good price for you there. But I can't sell this at a lower price. So there were young women, were Midianites, and attractive, and they gave him a very low price, and they started chatting with them. They said, listen, we're all from the same family. We're from Terach, the father of Abraham. Why don't you marry with us? Why do you guys only marry Jews? So then they would give a gift. So, we're relatives. Let me give you a gift. On me, you don't need to buy it. Take it as a gift. Then they'd say, you know what? You want to have some food? Come sit with us. I know you guys keep kosher. Don't worry. I'll bring you the animal. You do the shechita. Bring your own utensils. Everything. And he did that. And he said, in the meanwhile, let me bring you a drink. So at the time, non-Jewish wine was not prohibited. So I'll explain what that is. So they brought him wine, and there's no excuse to decline. It's like saying, can I want a cup of water? There's nothing to worry about. It's kosher or not kosher. So they had the wine. They got a little drunk, and then they seduced them. They said, you want to be with us? You have to worship this idol. So they worshiped the idol, and the idol worship was a big scandal. And Hashem commanded Moshe Rabbeinu to put a death sentence on all those who worship the idol. Right after this, Zimri, the leader of the tribe of Shimon, was a big rabbi. He had a problem with this, and he challenged Moshe Rabbeinu in public. He took the daughter of King Balak. Her name was Kozbi. And Kozbi also wanted to make them sin. They both wanted to sin for different reasons. Kozbi wanted to cause a downfall of the Jewish people. Zimri was rebelling, so he took the daughter, and he told Moshe Rabbeinu, can I have this girl? What do you say? It's allowed? What did he say, Moshe? And Moshe said, no. And then he disrespected Moshe. He said, your wife wasn't Jewish before. You married a Goya, which is not true. His wife converted according to Torah law. And Moshe didn't know what the punishment was. He forgot it. But Yehoshua knew the law. He remembered it. The law of cohabiting with a non-Jewish woman is that zealots have to come and kill the two of them. This is not, I didn't write this, it says it in the Torah. So, now Zimri takes the girl and they go in the camp and he's with her. He's having relations with her. Nobody knows what to do except Yehoshua. There were some other people who knew what to do, and this is where a non-playable character comes in. Everybody had an excuse of why they don't want to deal with it. For example, the tribe of Reuven was afraid to avenge the sin because earlier on, Reuven was suspected of immorality, and they didn't want to deal with this same topic. There was also there were others who had their own excuses, but Pinchas went forward and said, no excuses, I'm going to do it. He took action. He came by the tent, he took a spear and he removed the arrow. He walked in like a cave, and he said, I want in too. And he convinced them to let him into the camp where Zimri and Kozbi were. Then he added back the arrow and he stabbed both of them together. He lifted them up and he showed everybody that he killed them. And there was a big sanctification of God's name. At the time when this was going on, there was a plague. A lot of people in the tribe of Reuven were dying. And the second he killed them, the plague stopped immediately. And there were many miracles involved. I'll just say a few of them. The blood didn't drip down on Pinchas. Pinchas, who didn't become tameh from touching a dead body. They took them time to die, even though he had them in the spear, and many other miracles. And we learn from here, when we talk about all these, the halachot we learn and the parasha, a person should not be indifferent. When you see something is going on, helping a fellow man, you see someone suffering, don't look the other way. Don't say it's not my problem. You have to help your fellow man. And I like to relate a story that happened many years ago. And one time on a Thursday night, there were 5 yeshiva boys learning Torah. This is in the olden days in Europe, over 100 years ago. This man comes, he had a horse and carriage, and he comes into the Bet Knesset and he says, guys, you know I need your help. It's a cold winter night right now. My horse just broke his leg. He's suffering. I need a few guys who are gonna, lift him or whatever. They're gonna take care of the horse so the horse doesn't die. So he says, you guys, please help me. This is my livelihood. I depend on this. If this horse dies, he's maybe like an Uber driver of the times, or whatever it was, delivery man, or like a taxi, and he needs the horse. That's his livelihood. And they debated. Should we help him? But we're learning Torah. Torah is the most important thing. Helping the guy, we're going to lose Torah time. Now I want to stop with that for a second. Torah learning is one of the most important things. The Torah, it's not just learning. We're not learning a comic book. We're not learning a newspaper. You are learning the words of God, the living God, that teach you how to conduct yourself, or how a person should conduct from before a person is born until after he dies, from A to Z. Everything is covered in the Torah. Is all of it revealed? The more you learn, the more you understand. It teaches how to act, teaches us everything, how to think. So that's why there is such a big emphasis on Torah learning, and every second a person has a chance he should learn Torah. Obviously you have to eat, you have to sleep, you have to have fun sometimes if you need it. But Torah is the most important. That's why a person is allowed to not do certain mitzvot, which is another topic, when he's learning Torah. But in this case, the guy needs their help, and he should have helped them. There was no one. By the way, there was no one else that was able to help. That's another important factor. If there was someone, go to the other Bet Knesset and ask them, see what they say. No, there was no one else. It was a cold, wintry night. So they decided, no, we're not going to help you. We're sorry. He goes back, and there was a guy, his name was Moshe the drunk, Moshe Ashikud. Moshe looked like a plain guy. He wore tattered clothes. He used to hang out in the Bet Knesset. He was an older guy. I don't know much else about him, but he told the guys, why don't you guys go help him? But they didn't go. The guys decided finally to go help him. They go all the way there, they search for him, they find the guy crying on the ground, and the horse is dead. He goes, that's it, I messed up. I don't have livelihood anymore. He's crying, he's in the freezing cold. The guys felt very, very bad. They come back to the Bet Knesset, dejected, and they start discussing that they should have went out, why didn't they go out? And Moshe was involved in this discussion. One of the guys didn't speak so nicely to Moshe when he was rebuking them, and Moshe told him that his feet also won't stand anymore, just like the horse. And what happened was that later on in his life, that one boy who argued with Moshe was punished. We're going to get to that. Not so long after, Moshe was dying. He tells the boy, the yeshiva boy, tonight I'm dying, please come to my house. And he thought he's joking. Moshe was, again, he was a guy who hung on the Bet Knesset, tattered clothes, seemed to be drunk all the time. Please come to my house, I'm dying tonight. So he went. He went to his house, and he tells him, I want to be buried in the choicest cemetery of the town. So Moshe's the boy's like, that's packed, you can't get into there. So he says, don't worry. You see these papers? I want you to take them to the rabbis of the city and show it to them. What were they? Chidushe Torah. It turns out this average Joe was a very big Talmid Chacham, and even had some Kabbalistic writings. So when he took these papers, after he died, Moshe dies, he takes these papers to the rabbis and says that he wants to be buried in the main cemetery. They're like, no way, there's no room there. Then they read these papers, and they started thinking, like, you know what? There might be an opening. Like, they really started to work on it, and they found an opening. So they buried him in the best cemetery in that city. And what happened to this boy? When he became a man, he got a disease, and he lost one of his legs. He had to amputate it. Because he helped Moshe in his final moments, the second leg wasn't amputated. So that is the price a person pays. Sometimes being indifferent is a very dangerous thing. There are some cases in halacha that, whether it's in kibbud avayim, honoring your parents, or going to a funeral, that if other people can do that mitzvah, then in some cases, then you could say, I'm learning Torah right now, I'm not going to help out in that situation. That's another subject to talk about, but there are exceptions. But generally speaking, you can't say, Bitul Torah, it's a waste of Torah time, I'm not going to help, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. Or neglect your wife and kids, or other things. I like to share another story. And there was an old lady. She was walking in the streets of Yerushalayim, and she sees a child who was bleeding very badly. He got hurt. And she says to him, don't worry, Bezat Hashem, it's going to be okay. And she keeps walking. 10 minutes later, ambulance came and everything, and they found out that boy was her grandson. She didn't recognize him at that moment. And then she starts crying, oh my boy, wow. Hey, 2 seconds ago you were so positive. Bezat Hashem, it's going to be fine. But when you find it's your own grandson, you start freaking out. Why didn't you have that same pain for when you thought it wasn't your child, your grandson? And I like to relate a personal story that happened to me. I was building my sukkah, and I get called out by the neighbors that 2 Arabs are beating up, or about to beat up, one of my neighbors. So immediately, me and my friend ran in the direction to him. We saw our neighbor going up into the building. We said, come with us. We don't know what's going on. The Arabs are beating up another Jew. What did he tell me? I have to ask my Rav. I can't help you. I have to ask. Very, very calmly. And I'm like, just come, just let's see what's going on. And he just walks up the stairs and goes in his house. We went, and Baruch Hashem, we were able to stop this guy from getting beat up, and it turned out okay in the end. But it bothered me. This guy, he didn't even care. I don't know what was in his mind, but very calmly, I don't know, ask my Rav. Now, what is the halacha? Really, what he should have done is if you don't know how to fight or you're afraid, you don't have to put yourself in danger to save another Jew. But there's other alternatives. He could have called the police. He could have told other neighbors, guys, come. He could have stood away a little bit. He did none of those things, and that's a mistake. And one of the rabbis writes that this type of indifference, when not saving a Jew, it's the transgression of do not stand idly by your brother's blood. That you have to go out and save a Jew any way that's best, that you could do it, you should go and do it in your own, according to your strengths or weaknesses, depending on what your level is. So it's very important that we don't be indifferent. We need to feel another person's pain. And I want to relate a story. I might have said it before. There was a Rav who was collecting money for a poor family in the town in the olden days. This is before heaters and all that, and they used to heat their house with logs and fire, and you have to be able to afford that. So he goes to a rich man's house. It was a very, very cold winter night. It was windy and snowing and everything. He knocks on the door. The rich guy opens the door, and the rabbi doesn't come in the house. He stands a little bit away, and he just starts talking to him. So the rich guy comes towards him, starts talking. He's like, listen, come on, it's getting cold. And he's like, no, I'm not coming in. And he just kept talking to him. And he was telling him what's going on with this poor guy. Now this rich guy is standing outside for like 3-4 minutes, freezing. He had a nice, he just came out of a nice warm area. And the rabbi did it on purpose. He wanted this guy to feel how this family is feeling. This poor family right now is suffering like this. So once he was able to understand that, then he came in the house, they sat down, they discussed it more in detail. And then he did help the family. So sometimes we have to go out of our comfort zone and see how the other person feels. Even like, people complain about politicians. They don't know how the working man lives. Maybe the guy should go on a bus, go on the subway. See how the other person lives, relate to them, be on their level. Thank you.